Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Like and subscribe to support me. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only.
Fire Dragonstone Pishio. Could this place have been in Orvain?
Yunxiao was suddenly enlightened. No wonder the tunnel was so rough and had so many forks. If it was a fire dragonstone mine, it would make sense. However, the yang qi here was so abundant that it was not abandoned after being dug out. Furthermore, with such abundant yang qi, there was no need to set up a large formation to seal it. From the looks of it, the dazzling light origin convergence formation didn't seem to be absorbing yang qi. Instead, it seemed to be blocking the yang qi from surging upwards. The demonic dragon said.
Although it's the most yang qi in the world, there's something strange about it.
Yunxiao chuckled and said.
I don't believe that a mind can defy the heavens. He randomly chose one of the 3 passages and directly entered it.
At the same time, Yunxiang, who was cultivating in the secret chamber, suddenly opened her eyes, and the strange phenomenon of her divine body disappeared.
What a strong positive yang qi. Why did it suddenly become so dense?
She was both surprised and happy. She felt the 9 yang genuine qi surging around her body. Under such an environment, she was growing by leaps and bounds, breaking through 1 star directly, and was still rising.
Master once said that the progress of the 9 yang true qi cultivation method is extremely slow, but it is one of the most powerful cultivation methods in the world, and there are few who can match it in the same level. I must improve quickly so that I won't be a burden to Lord Yunxiao. One day, I want to become an existence as powerful as Master and be able to accompany by Lord Yunxiao's side.
She once again entered a meditative state. The cultivation just now had given her a very wonderful state, as if she had integrated into heaven and earth, completely forgetting herself. The little green goblin wrapped around her arm slowly moved and fell off her body, retreating far away. He seemed to feel very uncomfortable with the positive yang energy. His whole body seemed to be a little listless, and the green on his body was not as bright as before, and it had become dull. A dark shadow appeared in the base of Team 8, moving quickly on the ground. The shadow circled around the small courtyard, as if it could not find its target.
I say, weren't you called over by the captain? Why did you come here to drink with us? Don't mention it. We've all underestimated that guy. He's a true blue formation master.
Li Yu gulped down a mouthful of wine, slightly suppressing his shock, and said.
Moreover, that brat has a precious treasure in his hands. Just the aura of that treasure alone is enough to make my heart palpitate in fear. I'm guessing that thing is most likely a 9th tier profound armament. What? The newly arrived platoon leader has a 9th tier profound armament? That's impossible. That kid is only 16 or 17 years old. How can he control such a precious treasure?
Li Yu looked at everyone's eyes and felt the pleasure of exposing the truth. He snorted proudly.
That's why that kid used the 9th tier profound armament as a rod and kept knocking on the array, trying to find the entrance. Using a 9th tier profound armament as a rod?
Everyone's face was full of black lines, revealing very suspicious expressions.
That place was originally a mine vein. Later, I heard that many people died, so it was sealed. It said that Commander Hao Yan also went down there before. Later on, he found a formation master without saying a word and set up a great formation to extract the yang qi. Hey, do you think that kid destroyed the Grand Array?
Li Yu smiled bitterly.
How would I know? Since he's the captain, I don't have the right to interfere in this matter. However, that kid was indeed mysterious and gave people a very strange feeling. I advise you all to be honest. Even Vice Captain Zhou Xiang holds him in high regard. Praise my ass. He's just the son of an influential family with an extraordinary background. Otherwise, he would not have a 9th tier profound armament on him, damn it. Why don't I help him keep it, in case it's stolen?
Li Yu was shocked.
Are you crazy? How dare you say such things?
Everyone also sighed endlessly. All kinds of suspicions and speculations were discussed one after another, and the more they talked, the more ridiculous they became. In the end, for some reason, they talked about women, and all kinds of cheerful and perverted laughter rang out. The shadow in the corner lost interest. Only then did it slowly move away, heading in the direction of the formation. In the underground compartment, the shadow gradually emerged and condensed into a man in a black robe. His eyes were shining with a brown light. It was Mr. Yu. His eyes flickered with a strange brown light as he stared at the hole that Yunxiao had knocked open and murmured.
With such strong yang qi, no wonder the 9 yang body would choose to cultivate in such a place. It is indeed twice the effort with half the result. But no matter who you are, you have to die if you have the body of 9 yang.
He turned into a black light and also burrowed into the hole. Yunxiao had been traveling for more than an hour, but he could not remember how many tunnels he had passed through. Because he could not spread out his divine sense, he had to return to where he was when he encountered many dead ends. After digging for a long time, he finally saw that the tunnel was getting wider and wider. He could finally walk upright, and the various scenes in front of him also slowly became wider. The 4 walls had also changed from rough soil to natural rock, as if it was a natural underground cave.
There's actually the sound of water?
Yunxiao looked around in surprise. It was like a large underground cave, and with water passing through it, it could form an independent environment.
The yang qi is coming from up ahead. I'd like to see what kind of divine object it is.
Yunxiao flew forward at full speed, shuttling through the ground. As expected, he soon saw many plants that could only grow in low and dark environments, as well as some dark creatures. Suddenly, he saw a light in a cluster of grass. He walked up and saw the skeleton of a warrior. He didn't know how many years had passed, but it still hadn't rotted. The bone banner flickered with a jade-like light, and the grass in the surroundings seemed to be affected as well, growing more exuberantly than in other places. Yunxiao said in a deep voice.
This person must have been an expert when he was alive. If he doesn't have some kind of divine body, he must have cultivated an extremely powerful body refining technique. This was why the bone armor was able to remain undying in such a human environment. This place is indeed not simple.
He became more vigilant. He had thought that it was just a fire dragon mine. Now, it seemed that it was not as simple as he had imagined. It was estimated that the mine had come to this place, and many things had happened. In the end, it had been abandoned. As for the formation that young Emperor Hao Lian had set up, it was probably not to absorb the yang qi, but to suppress this place. After flying for some distance, the ground began to show signs of being man-made. It was like a river had opened up a crack in the ground, but the inside had long dried up. It was like a long dragon that led into the distance. Surging yang qi flowed within it, as if it was corporeal, and it would spread out from time to time. This buy-in. Finally, they reached the end of the crack. It was a huge formation. In the center of the formation was a transparent sphere. One could vaguely see the shadow of something inside, but it was difficult to penetrate it. The surging positive yang energy was being emitted from this transparent sphere. 4 towering pillars stood around the formation, red as blood. Upon closer inspection, there was actually someone sealed within the pillar. That person was not human, but had the same body shape as a human, but the body was slightly different, especially the head, which had various strange images.
The demon clan's sacrificial array?
Yunxiao was horrified. The demonic scene in front of him looked very much like the legendary array used by the demon race for sacrificial offerings. He had only read about it in some ancient books, but it only looked somewhat similar. Thousands of years ago, Guqingqing, the palace master of the Divine Cloud Palace, forced the demon tribe into the 5 Cloud Mountain by herself, and she set up the 5 Elements Reversal Great Sealing Formation. For thousands of years, it was rare to see a powerful demon on the heavenly martial continent. Some of them were the fish that had escaped the net back then, and they remained in various corners of the continent, rarely showing their true faces to people. Therefore, Yunxiao's understanding of the demon race was very limited. He only knew that thousands of years ago, it was a very prosperous race, stronger than human beings. However, Gu Qingqing was one of the few people in the history of the continent who was suspected to have reached the immortal state. In addition to the surging yang qi pouring out from the formation, it was also extremely strange. Yunxiao rose into the air and looked down from the sky, only to find out in surprise that the man was a man of great strength. It turned out that there was more than one crack that led to this place. Around the formation, there were a total of 8 large cracks that had been excavated, forming a terrain that encompassed the universe. Yunxiao's face lit up with realization as he said,
This formation of the demon race was originally meant to absorb the power of the universe and condense dragon qi. It seemed to be quite effective, but for some unknown reason, the powerful energy that had been condensed for countless years slowly dissipated and began to leak, resulting in the yang qi soaring to the sky.
The demonic dragon said in a deep voice.
But I can still feel the aura of life in the transparent ball in the center of the formation.
He could be considered half a demon, and he was a descendant of a true dragon. He had a strong sense of everything. Yunxiao said.
Even if he's not dead, I don't think he can be resurrected. With the passage of time, the living creature in this ball would eventually die from exhaustion of yang qi. I think it's very likely that a human expert discovered this place and forcibly reversed the flow of the terrain, causing the formation to dissipate in the opposite direction.
The demonic dragon stared at the center of the sacrificial array and said in a deep voice.
What a pity! The being within the sphere must be a powerful descendant of the demon race. With the nourishment of the dragon qi, it's very likely that he'll reach the legendary immortal state, an existence like those great demons in ancient times.
Yunxiao said with a smile.
If that's the case, it's definitely not a good thing for mankind. Who knows when the humans will be the ones trapped under the 5-cloud mountain?
Suddenly, an ice-cold voice rang out in the darkness. It was filled with extreme shock and excitement.
The days of humans being trapped in the 5-cloud mountain are not far away. It's actually a sacrificial formation. The heavens are really helping me.